It also helps to know exactly if I'm, being an Apple guy, I've always been an Apple guy, so it's funny to see Apple be, in this case, 41% of the mobile market, which is, kind of surprising for me. I'm used to being, oh, me too, Mr. Apple guy, I'm only like 5% of the market, so you can just ignore me. But at least in the mobile app, there's a large percentage of people who use it. And as far as devices go, the 42%, basically it comes up to 62% of the market in terms of devices. When you add in the iPod Touch, when you add in the pad and the phone, they all have access to your app. And that's actually, quote Gandhi, where are my people? Let me follow them. I must follow them. So the people who are using it, we should definitely consider what we have to develop for them. Now here comes the fun part. This is what I was talking to Jim about, which I got involved in this presentation.
Continue.
Sweet. So I went after trying to go ahead and register, and I figured the good thing to do would be just take one of my, to take a company and register it and put it through the Apple process. And I tried it starting around September, and about a week later I got this, which is they wanted more information. Long story short, it took about 35 days just for me, an individual, to register my business. It definitely takes a long time. And I think it's one of the things you have to be aware of. You can, in fact, download the software for free, the Xcode, which is the authoring environment for applications in iOS. But there are so many testing advantages. Even when you're learning the Hello World program for Objective-C, you want to put that up on your phone, and until you register, you really can't do that. So it's worth the $125 it costs. It's really not that much money, but it's still, when I think about that for a state agency, it's $125 is $125. And those are hard dollars to come by these days. So after I was in, then they bring you to developer.apple.com, which is an all-in-one resource for all the information you could possibly need for the app. They have really good forums built there. You can basically look now. I did not find any local Albany app mobile developers listed on the website, and I'm hoping to actually maybe from the web guild, from the mobile user group, get started on this, because usually the fastest way for learning a lot of this information has always been to work with others, and everybody brings different skill sets in, and you find your way around that much faster. So I'm hoping that will be something that will be able to get started. As they were saying, a lot of the aspects of developer.com, as far as state agencies go, if you do developer.apple.com, once you're registered, you can set up your team so they can put the apps on their phone, they can know and test them. Again, I still feel like I know I'm one of the only lucky guys here, and I say that had an Apple at work. And that's one of the other issues, that's one of the larger issues I found, is that Xcode is an Apple product, so you'd have to have an Apple machine to develop on it. And that's also a cost to consider for state agencies. You don't have to have a big tower. A laptop will do. That's a nice thing. You can have them make a mobile app on a laptop. You're already mobile. Every aspect of the process for developing through Apple is through developer.apple.com. The App Store approval process, every single part that you've all heard of, the delays. Right now, 75% of apps that you put up there are up inside of a week, which is quite amazing when you consider that there's more than 200,000 apps available, and more and more every day. So, real quick, I just wanted to sum up, just to give you guys an overview. The Apple iOS application is programmed in Xcode. Applications are coded in Objective-C. Other languages, such as C++, can be programmed in Xcode. So I'm thinking that, although I don't know if possible, I'm hoping that I'll probably get an answer on this, that I know he's doing Adobe Air. But one of the other languages, C++, I'm not sure if that's one of the languages you can use for the Android development, possibly. So maybe you could develop your Apple app at the same time in Xcode develop for Android, but I'm not really sure. I'm still learning Hello World. So, but it's basically how it looks like. It's pretty much all the, it sets up all your visual code, but it's a lot of writing. It's not a lot of visual stuff. It's a lot of code writing. Made me yearn for the days of jQuery. But that's also a lot of code. So, I think one thing I wanted to, in summary, really quick, was that the specific business need that Apple iOS application will fulfill for your agency is something you really have to think of before you go through this process, because of that saying, just to run off and do it. It does take time, and during that month while you're waiting to get authenticated by Apple to be able to put your material to their store, hopefully you can spend the time on that and specifically figuring out exactly what you want your application to do. If you're going to streamline the process for your agency Apple iOS application development, because what you want to do is you want to figure out what team can you use, an artist, designer, a coder, and a supervisor. That's all you need. And hopefully, again, one of our answers can be met through the mobile web group and use that NYS forum message board. And I definitely want to be working with more people on developing apps for the Apple iStore, because I think all people in New York would really benefit if we could find a way to merge a lot of possibilities with apps for New York State. If someone was going to get that 511 app, that got a little bit of a preview of, really was really excited. I was really looking forward to seeing more about that. That was really good. So, one last thing, we need probably to consider, we need to have user groups and testing clients specific for all these apps. If we're going to test them, it could be something we could coordinate through the forum. And usability testing before going out in the Apple Store. They test it a lot, but it's not going to hurt. And it's one of the things I found with the website as a webmaster for Department of State, is once we were doing a new program, we actually put the website out, and we had people involved in that program to go look at it, and we got some really helpful feedback before we posted it live, and we were able to make some good key changes right at that point. And accessibility of mobile devices, again, like I said, it actually gives it voiceovers of tables, which I really wish I had done with HTML so long ago. When I saw that, I knew it was going to be a much faster way to go through. And as I said initially, to start out, an information-based application might be the best way to go, because that global payment systems is a real onerous security guide. Onerous, I'm not saying that badly. I mean that it's important for security concerns to be addressed. And I think cybersecurity and OFT could also specifically address these things as technology moves on. One last couple things. I'm learning Objective-C through lynda.com, and a lot of, if you guys get a chance, go check out lynda.com. It's a really good resource for learning anything you need to do. It has jQuery stuff. I'm sure Eric's happy about that. And there's also other really good, even just Microsoft Word has handy stuff in there. Prometric services. If you're going to develop Objective-C and you get pretty good at it, they actually have ways for you to get certified and to take the test and learn how to do it officially, and that way you're answering your own questions. It's a really useful resource in terms of, if you go to that part, I got this through Apple's website, but there is actually a local place, one of the local schools will actually allow you to take the test there and study there. That's another place. Objective-C is not Java. It's a little bit more crazy, and when I first learned how to do Java, I somehow managed to make a hard drive actually seize. I destroyed the computer just trying to make a Java calculator. So I was much happier to go ahead and learn the right way to do Objective-C, because I didn't want to destroy my own phone. And last, again, developer.apple.com is resources for all the training materials and books and stuff to read. It's really invigorated. I'm going from as a designer to going to a programmer, and I still think like a designer, so that doesn't bode well for my programming skills maybe, but I like the fact that I can try to do both, and Objective-C is a really good language to do that in, because it's pretty logical, but it's also as geeky as it gets. Thank you very much.